All right, today we are diving into one of the most intense and, honestly, shocking stories in the entire Bible. It's a story from the book of Numbers about faith, fury, and a pretty shocking reward. And it all forces us to ask a really tough question about religion itself.
And this is it. This is the question that hangs over every single event we're about to talk about. Is it devotion or is it fanaticism? Keep that in your head because what happens next is really going to challenge how you think about where that line is drawn.
So, our story kicks off in a place called Shittim. The Israelites are camped out and, they start mingling with their neighbors, the Moabite women. But what starts out as just being social, well, it spirals really fast into a full-blown religious crisis. The text literally says the Israelites yoked themselves to the Baal of Peor. And that's not just, a poetic phrase. This wasn't a friendly barbecue. We're talking about specific religious acts, eating meals sacrificed to a local god, and then actually bowing down to it. For a people whose entire identity was built on worshiping their one god exclusively, this was a massive betrayal. And you can see how it happened. It wasn't just one bad decision. It was a step-by-step process. First, you've got the invitation from the Moabite women. Then comes the participation, actually eating those sacrificial meals. And the final step, the ultimate betrayal, bowing down and worshiping a foreign god. It was this three-step slide into a collective sin, and it was about to have some pretty horrifying consequences. Yeah, and those consequences came down hard and fast. This betrayal unleashes what the text describes as a furious divine response. A deadly plague starts ripping through the Israelite camp. The command that God gives to Moses here is just, wow. It's so severe. It's not just a, hey, you guys should repent. No, it's an order for the public execution of all the leaders who were involved, and it has to be done in broad daylight for everyone to see. The text makes it clear this brutal act is the only way to stop what it calls God's fierce anger. And the scale of that anger is just staggering. Before this whole episode is over, 24,000 people are dead from this plague. So we're not talking about a small punishment here. This is a catastrophe that is absolutely devastating the entire community. So right in the middle of all this death, this chaos, with the whole community in mourning, one man's act of defiance just pushes the whole situation right over the edge. And it triggers this unforgettable moment of violence. Just try to picture this scene, okay? The entire community is gathered together, weeping their eyes out right at the entrance to their holiest place, the tent of meeting. And at that exact moment, in front of everybody, Moses included, an Israelite man brazenly brings a Midianite woman into the camp. The contrast is just jaw-dropping. You have this deep public grief happening right next to this flagrant act of public defiance. And the response is lightning fast. A priest named Phinehas sees what's happening. He doesn't ask permission. He doesn't wait for a command. He just gets up, walks out of the assembly, grabs a spear, follows that couple into their tent, and in one violent lunge, he drives the spear straight through both of them. It's brutal, it's quick, and it changes everything. And it's so important to get this. These were not just two random people. Zimri was a big deal. He was an Israelite leader, the head of a major family. And Cosby? She was a Midianite princess. Their high status made what they did an even bigger, more public challenge to Moses, to God, and to the entire community. The very instant Phinehas drives that spear through them, the plague stops. Just like that. And then the story gives us this divine explanation for his violent act. It's not treated as murder. It's seen as a heroic deed, one that deserves a massive reward. And here's the justification, straight from God's mouth, according to the text. He was as zealous for my honor as I am. So Phinehas' violent fury is actually seen as a perfect reflection of God's own zeal. His act, in a way, spared the rest of the Israelites, because it satisfied that divine anger before it could wipe everyone out. So for this, Phinehas gets a pretty incredible reward package. God's anger is gone. He's given something called a covenant of peace. And this is the big one. He and his descendants are granted a permanent, lasting priesthood. His single act of violence is officially declared an act of atonement, and it creates a whole new, powerful dynasty for his family. But the story doesn't quite end there on a high note. This whole incident has one last, chilling consequence. It leads to a brand new command that's going to set the stage for a whole lot more conflict.
Yeah, the final order is about as stark as it gets. Treat the Midianites as enemies and kill them. Because Cosbi was a Midianite princess, her entire nation is now branded as an enemy of Israel, and Moses is ordered to go to war with them. And the reason given for this new war is tied directly back to what just happened. The Midianites are blamed for the whole deception, and Cosby's actions are held up as the prime example. So a single act of defiance, followed by a single act of retribution, has now spiraled into the justification for a full-scale war. Which brings us right back to where we started. In the world of this story, Phinehas is an undisputed hero. He saved his people through an act of incredible, zealous violence. But for us, reading it now, his story just forces us to grapple with that really uncomfortable question: is this faith or is this fanaticism? The text presents its answer, but it definitely doesn't make it easy for us, leaving us to figure out where we draw that line for ourselves.